Due to pandemic, during lockdown, I just started this YouTube project, but I never thought such a specialized subject addressed with documentary rigor would attract so many subscribers. The channel has surpassed the 1,000 subscriptions, and I want to celebrate it producing its making of, how I made these videos from the humble beginnings when I had no experience at all, neither recording nor editing. I even was unaware of the minimum definition required for an image to be seen with a certain quality in a screen bigger than the smartphones. When there weren't any images to illustrate my scripts, I used the stop-motion technique, taking lots of pictures while changing the articulated figure's position that I cut out and animated myself. This is how the sword fight of 2 knights arose. Prince Philip II bowed to kiss a lady's hand. Or I recreated some people's funny walking so censored by the Italian dancing masters. Much work for a few seconds of moving images. In the third part of the chapter devoted to dance in the Spanish Golden Age, to dramatize a short theatre piece by Rodríguez de Villaviciosa titled The Dance of the Tunes, I asked an artist for collaboration. Sara Castilla was 16 at the time. I gave her the script and the definition of the characters, and from her imagination appeared the secretary, the major, the pavane, the galliard, or the music. The sets and the articulation of these characters put my handcraft's skill to the test. I assembled Almagro's open-air theatre reproduction. I bought it online from the theatre museum of that beautiful town. That was the result.
Si contra los sones muestras tus iras y desterrarlos procuras, por ti comienza, porque tú eres el villano.
Estas damas ha muchos años que en esta aldea al baile se van.
¡Desterradas! ¡Salgan fuera!
El canario, que son tales mis mudanzas.
¡Echádmela del lugar!
No puede ser, porque yo tengo marido.
¿Qué os parece mi belleza?
No tiene de qué estar ancha, que tu hermosura es mentira, puesto que todo es pavana. Escribano, ¿quién me llama?
Unas damas de Valencia de un carro se desembarcan.
Este baile me contenta.
I also mixed different images to create Baroque sets I fulfilled with characters in various sizes. Then I animated them with the most naive technique, using a metallic structure to place my smartphone on top to record from above. My inventiveness made up for the scarcity of my strut, and it became a characteristic in my editing. I was also very lucky counting on actors and actresses, most of them my ex-students, and even those with a solid professional career responded to my call, enriching my script with their talent. Their collaboration was either recording just their voices or recording their voices and image to give life to my script's characters. All of them deserve an appreciation video which I promise to make as soon as possible. During the lockdown, they recorded themselves at home following my instructions. For instance, I asked them to record themselves in front of a black background with some candlelight, looking in different directions or making a specific gesture. Once they sent me those videos, I was able to edit these scenes with various characters, as in the Dancing School by Navarrete y Rivera, or in the Cervantes entremés The Roughneck Widower. In both cases, the 5 characters never met together in the same room. They not always had a black background at home, and in the case of Nuria and Alicia, they used a white one, without knowing that the shades of white are innumerable, and when joining the two images recorded in different cities, the central line was too noticeable. Imagination came to the rescue, and I decided to overlap an image with a wheat field under a blue sky, a logical solution in a scene with a lady and a peasant, that hide that vertical line, preventing from creating the illusion that both actresses weren't performing together. When back to a certain normality, performers couldn't always meet for the recording, as it happened with the characters of the barber and his customer. Each actor recorded his part without the other, and it is the hands of José Luis that hold the cloth and who appeared seated according to the scene that was recorded. These scenes with different sets were recorded in my flat's living room, which, with very few resources and a lot of imagination, became a Renaissance cabinet for chronicles, novels, or dancing masters. The dining room table was used to record scenes like these ones, and this toy truck allowed some amazing travelings like this one. My living room's brick wall, disguised with different objects I have at home or I bought, like the ceramic jar, reproduced different sceneries, sometimes more humble, others stately-like, as in the scene when González de Sales speaks. Leaving the modern furniture out of the shot and adding some decoration objects, books or fake parchment, the set ended up like this.
También infiero en el mismo autor que las danzas serían más propias de la tragedia.
Almost everything could be achieved with some dark bed sheets or some linen, hiding my apartment's modern design. Here you are two examples: the set for Carrosso's character and the set where I, myself, appeared writing because I couldn't ask any other one. I performed The Lord of Mesme for the third part of Baroque dance in France. For other sceneries, a piece of foam board worked as a whitewash wall from one side and as a stone wall from the other, thanks to a quite expensive wallpaper of which I barely used 1/8 of the roll. All this allowed for different backgrounds for different scenes.
Otra deshonesta y lasciva. Has dado que hacer a los poetas.
If I don't have the objects needed, I print some color photocopies. The barber's tool, the crucifix, or the string of garlic are colored photocopies to which I gave a certain volume, gluing them to some foam, so that they projected a shadow that would make them look real. To recreate Fray Antonio's cell in the entremés of the roughneck widower, I projected a pointed window silhouette made of some cardboard and some toothpicks attached to a lantern that projected its light onto the polyvalent foam board piece.
Porque según voy notando, al modo vienen cantando Rufo y de Jacarandina.
Luckily, I have some facsimiles to give more credibility to the close-ups in some scenes shots, like the Civitates Orbis Terrarum. Esquivel Treatise, or the Vitis Book of Costumes. All of them have appeared in several chapters, although sometimes I have to make some fake covers when pretending to read from an old codex. Step by step, I was able to record outside of my apartment. My friends and I live in apartments with very modern furniture, so when I needed a wooden table to record the scene of Arena writing, I asked to be allowed to record on a table on the 4th floor of the Teatro Principal in Zaragoza. There were also wonderful sceneries, such as the Council's Music and Dance School, allowing the chapters about protocol at the Spanish court and at the dancing school shine. One of the rooms of Montal Restaurant, a family business located in a 16th-17th century building, was the set for the first chapter of Baroque dance in France. Madame de Motteville seemed to be writing in her private bedchamber. The culmination was the recording in the Palace of Parthènes, belonging to the Ministry of Justice. The chapter devoted to the French dance treatises in the Spanish National Library wouldn't have been the same without that spectacular Rococo environment. Other privileged sets were provided by the National Library, where I could record in some of its rooms. And overall, some of the incredible books they keep. I must thank both the official institutions and the private ones for their generosity collaborating with this non-profit educational and cultural project, which has unexpectedly developed so much. I must thank my sister Maria and her professional and meticulous work for the majority of the costumes. They mainly belong to her exhibition about fashion from Middle Ages to 16th century, a show which has toured some cities in Spain. When I reached the 17th century, I had to look for other resources. The Center of Show Technologies in Madrid, dependent on the Ministry of Culture, lent me the costumes for Rameau and Nevers, and local artists Sesma and Brunet made possible Madame de Motteville's look. To write my scripts, luckily I have a large library on the subject. But the presence in my documentaries of such prestigious national and international specialists was a real honor. They responded to my call from Spain, United Kingdom, France, Portugal, United States or Germany. The contacts net created is incredibly fruitful and allow me to learn with each script and chapter. The first scripts were recorded with little glamour. I invented a homemade teleprompter. Despite my channel being a non-profit one, I had to invest my money buying basic sound material, attrezzo, tripod, etc. So until very recently, I read my scripts in this way. A printed sheet, letters with the biggest possible size, and a hole in the middle of the page for my smartphone camera. Trying to look at the center with a blurred glance to hide the movement of my eyes. From fixing the printed paper on a ladder, I went on to do it on a homemade structure on a tripod. I was finally able to invest in a real teleprompter, and now the recordings are much faster and more comfortable, and we no longer have to spend so much time changing each page or repeating the recording because I couldn't see the texts clearly. José Luis is always behind the camera in my narration. I also needed some inventiveness to make some of the shots or to create the special effects. The large amount of published books about Don Quixote were miniatures I made printing the covers I found on the web, gluing them on a foam core cardboard and painting their spines. Once again, the stop-motion technique allowed the illusion. The appearance of the character of the music in a scene of the Dance of the Tunes was made with the smoke of a candle and my basic editor's opacity tool. But my videos wouldn't be so attractive without all the dancing which gives them so much fluency. I must thank all the dance companies which allowed me to use their images or record for me some specific moments I needed, making my documentaries much more appealing for a wider audience than the merely involved in early dance. This project is an enormous work, researching, producing, editing, to which I devote a lot of hours since almost 3 years by now. I couldn't have made it without José Luis's help, since he records my speeches, translates into English many of my scripts, or appears as an actor when needed. Neither this titanic project could have been possible without the support of you all who subscribe, click like, and send me encouraging messages, either because the information helps you in your teaching or your studies, or because you love dance and enjoy discovering new shapes and styles. My acknowledgement goes to the authors whose articles, theses, or publications allow me to write well-documented scripts. That's why they appear in the bibliography credits, one necessary addition as the project developed to register all that generated wisdom, very often hidden to the uninitiated. I hope this making of will encourage you all to be involved in other educational projects, not letting any handicap to block your creativity. I started with very few means but great enthusiasm. I hope I'll culminate this journey with the same passion. But there are so many subjects to talk about, so many specialists to interview, that I don't know the project's exact deadline. In the meanwhile, I hope to still meeting you all on the web.